diagnosed with breast cancer a few years ago. And 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks after that.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. Today I am joined by the delightful Kim Sorrelle, who is not only an entrepreneur of a non-profit organisation, but also an author and a speaker and a mother of 5 kids. And was it 11 grandchildren, did I hear you say? Wow. Welcome, Kim. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It is a pleasure for me to be here, for sure. I've listened to several of your episodes. I love your show. You've got great energy and you give such great information and advice. And so I'm happy to be a part of it.
I must admit, we were just having a quick chat before we came on the podcast, and I'd forgotten how I'd first got in contact with Kim, and then she recounted her story to me, and I was like, that's right. As soon as I read your story, I was like, I have to have you on the show, because my whole world, I talk about love and what love is in business and in your personal life, and I just think that I know you've got a story to tell about your discovery of love, if you like.
Yes, I sure do.
Why don't you share that with us? Why don't you share that with us and then share with us, what you're most proud of in your professional and personal life so far?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, I was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years ago. And 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks after that. And for a whole lot of reasons and no reason at the same time, it made me question love and the reality of love and what love really is. And so I decided that there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of TV shows, there's a lot of songs, about love, but what is love really? It seems to be a mystery. So I decided I would dedicate a full year to discover what love really is. Most of the year I was in Haiti. I took a 2,000-year-old poem they hear at a lot of weddings. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. And I decided I would take one word a month and figure out what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. And the things that I found out were mind-blowing and life-changing. And I am now on this mission to share what I know with the world.
That's fantastic. So we'd like to share with us a little bit about what did you learn? I mean, having a whole year off, that sounds divine, but it's also, of course, in a time of grief for you, I assume. So it would have been a mixture of feelings.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't life always a mixture of feelings? I think no matter where we are in life, it's always going to be jumbled up and whatever. But for instance, right out of the gate, patience, love is patient. So what I found out, there's 14 is's and isn't of love in that poem.
Wow.
And so it took me a little longer than a year with one a month, but I got it done. And each one has something very special and very particular about it. And at the same time, there's this overlying arc of love in general. And so both are just incredible things to know and then live, because love is not just a word, it's not an emotion, it's something you are, it's something that you become, it's something that you strive to be loved to other people. And so it's living and breathing and walking and talking and giving, and so how do you do that? How do you run your life that way? How do you do that? And so right out of the gate, love is patient. So you know what patience is. I know what patience is.
I'm not so good at it, but I understand it. Yeah.
Right. Something I've always been afraid to pray for, because they say that you'll get what you pray for. And I wasn't sure that would be so easy. But yes, you're stuck in traffic and you're not honking your horn, or you're mad because somebody's not ready when you're ready, whatever. And so showing the kindness in that is being patient. What I figured out, though, is love that is patient is entirely different than that. I believe you're supposed to love everybody. We should all just love everybody. The world would be a different place. And if you love everybody, then you recognize that this moment right here, right now, is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. But it's so easy. It was so easy for me. I don't know about anybody else, but it was so easy for me to think that I was this grand multitasker And I could be in a conversation while I'm thinking about a meeting I have later that day and what I have to pick up at the grocery store on the way home, and my rebuttal and my answer to the question all at the same time, or my input to the conversation. And I discovered that's not true. It's not true. I'm not that multitasker. And Love That Is Patient would say, be in the moment and really listen to the person that you're with. To show love to the person you're with blocks out everything else, because everything can wait. Right now, this is where you are. Yeah. And when you really listen, it changes things, because you hear what people actually have to say, not what you're assuming they're going to say. And it's amazing how it really changes what you hear and what you understand.
I can imagine there'll be a few people listening to this who will struggle in the same way that you did, in terms of thinking, I know I'm the same. I thought I was a great multitasker, and I realized actually none of us can actually multitask, can we? I don't think it's actually physically possible.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yes, and I have to admit that it's taken me a lot of practice to be in the moment, to remind myself to be in the moment and with the person I'm with, and show that kind of love.
So I hear what you're saying. So, I mean, I struggle with this as well. How do you kind of bring yourself back to that present? So I remember going to yoga classes, and at the end, they'd sort of say, lie down. They'd sort of say, imagine this. And I'd always find myself wandering off to what's for dinner tonight? What do I need to do tomorrow? How do I, so how do you calm that sort of, that noise, that clutter in your mind, and actually focus on the person that you're with?
Well, I think first it starts with the decision that this is the way you want to live. That you want to live a life of love, and love that is patient is part of it. And so if you want to do it, anything that you want to do, you're willing to put some time in, or you should be willing to put some time in. And so for me, at the beginning, my head was everywhere, and I'd try to reel it back in, and then my thoughts would wander, and I'd reel it back in. And then I just got to the point where I was like, this is silly. All I really need to do is focus. Just look the person I'm with in the eye and be fully present, and block out everything. And it's certainly possible. You can do it. Anybody can do it, but you got to want to.
It's a choice.
And and work on it.
Excellent. Okay, so that's number 1 of 14. What about the others?
Yes. Oh my gosh, there are so many great things that I learned. Like I'll tell you a quick story about one that I dreaded, and it was love does not keep a record of wrongs. Because I thought, well, you don't forget the things that happen to you. You might forgive, but you really don't forget. I mean, they're still in your memory, right? Yes. And so what is love doesn't keep a record of wrongs? How does that possibly work? Well, I had this man call me from another state, a pastor, and he asked if I would go with him to Haiti, because I was working on this water project down there, and they wanted to see if they wanted to be a part of it. So I met these 8 gentlemen from the US down in Haiti. And then I took 2 of my friends, my Haitian friends who translate for us and work on the water project. I took them with us. We went out and we stayed at this little town in the countryside, and we got to where we were going to stay. And we drove in, and there was a small building with 2 small rooms, and each room had 4 twin-sized beds. So 8 men from America, 2 men from Haiti, and me.
And you.
So but I'm thinking we'll work it out. There's more room in the room. We brought a couple cots. We'll squeeze everybody in. It'll be fine. Well, the head guy of the Americans said, Kim, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure, whatever. And he said, did you see the rooms? And I'm thinking, buddy, there is nothing else to see. Of course I saw the rooms. I mean, here we are. That's all there is. And then I thought, oh, he's going to think I want my own room. So I'm going to say to him, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he'll say, no, if anybody should sleep inside, it should be you. And then I'll say, well, I don't care if there's other people in my room. And he'll say, good, because we only have so much space. So I said, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he said, good, because we have men that are with us that would be very uncomfortable with a woman in their room. And I thought, oh my gosh, I set myself up for this. I said that I would do it. So I looked around, and there was the piece of plywood kind of being held up by some sticks. And I thought, well, if I sleep under that, at least if it rains, I'm protected from the rain. So the first night I went to bed, and my air mattress held air for about an hour.
Oh no.
And it was so loud, the dogs and horns honking and barking, and it was just so loud. And finally it settled down, and finally I was going to get some sleep, and then the voodoo drum started in the distance, and then that kept me up for a while. And then finally I could get some sleep, like 5 a.m. And my biggest fear was that some critter, some animal, something, a snake or a tarantula or a chupacabra or whatever's lurking in the bushes in Haiti would attack me in the middle of the night. And I don't think there's really attack snakes, but I'm worried about them because there might be, who knows? And so the first night came and went without incident, and everything was just fine. Second night, went to bed, air mattress, lost air, the dogs, the horns, the voodoo drums. Finally, I'm sleeping. And I woke up because there was something on my leg.
Oh no.
And I thought, oh my word, what could that possibly be? I was so afraid. And I was sleeping on my back thinking that's the easiest way to jump up and run if I have to. And so I'm on my back, and I slowly lifted my head, slowly opened my eyes. And it was a chicken.
A chicken.
It was a dang chicken. And I didn't know whether to be mad because this chicken is on my leg, or happy that it's a chicken and not something worse. So I shooed it away, got a little bit of sleep. So night 3 came and went, no incident, everything's fine. Then came night 4. And again, the dogs, the horns, no air in the air mattress, etc. And again, I woke up because there was something on my leg.
Ooh.
And again, I was scared to death to see what could possibly be on me. And I slowly lifted my head and opened my eyes. And again, it was the dang chicken. That chicken was back on my leg. And I shoot it away. And again, I didn't know whether to be mad or happy, whatever. But I got some more sleep. But that night, we had chicken for dinner. So I knew I'd have a pretty peaceful night on night 5. So nothing happened on night 5. But at first I was bitter. I was angry, right? Like, what's this guy doing? How come nobody's saying, Kim, maybe you should sleep inside? We've got room for you. I mean, at first I was angry and disappointed in these people. And then I thought, I'm working on love doesn't keep record of wrongs. And then I finally realized what it means. So we don't forget the things that happen to us. We don't forget, but the narrative changes. So instead of, oh my gosh, these men did this to me, and oh my word, I had 5 sleepless nights back and whatever, and just being bitter, instead it's just something I lived through. Yeah. And it's a funny story, and I can literally sleep anywhere in the world now and be perfectly comfortable. So the narrative changes, the tone of the story changes, and instead of being the victim and harboring it, something that they probably don't even remember happening.
Well, right? To be fair, you actually said to them you would sleep outside. So
exactly. I offered. So so it's kind of not on them. Yeah. So yes. So instead of being bitter, and bitterness eats us alive anyway, and it does us no good. And when we're bitter, the person we're bitter toward, usually has no idea that you're mad at them. Yes. No idea. So why bother? So just love people and let it go. Just let it go.
Oh, I love it. And that's such a fantastic story. I'm so pleased it was just a chicken. I mean, visions of tarantulas and things, but yeah. Oh, that's great. So, I mean, that sounds like an amazing trip. What else did you discover on that trip?
Oh my, so much. About love in general, what love truly is, because I think we get it wrong. And we get it wrong a lot. We think it's all about romance and roses, or we think it's, our kids should just adore us, be like when you have grandkids, it's wonderful. It's like having a dog, because you walk in the door and they are there and they're so happy to see you, and you can do no wrong. But eventually they feed themselves and they shower themselves and put on their own clothes. So even better than a dog, but they love you with this unconditional love. But so we have all these ideas about what love is. But love done the right way, really, when you understand it, when you break it down and take love for what it truly is, it is the greatest freedom, because there is no judgment. There's no room for condemnation. There's no room for any negative. All you have to do is love. You don't have to fix anybody. The truth is we're only in control of ourselves. We don't control other people. And so we spend a lot of time, I'm speaking for myself, unfortunately, in the past, spend time trying to fix people, trying to offer unsolicited advice. And I think I know the better way, right?
Yeah.
And nothing is going to change with that person. We control ourselves, our emotions, our actions. That's what we get to control. And so all we have to do is love people. That's all we have to do. So when you do that, it frees you to just love and not judge and not try to fix and not condemn and not put people in categories, but realize that people have names and we're all individuals and we're all unique. And don't make assumptions about anybody and anywhere for anything. Just love people. Open your ears, open your eyes, open your heart to who people really are, individuals really are. And that,
I think, sorry, I was going to say, I think as humans, we do tend to judge quite quickly. And then also, I always say to people, you've got to put yourself in the other person's shoes. You don't know what's going on for them right there, right now. You don't know what else there is that you can't even see. So you need to just be, I suppose, loving of them and just accepting of the way that they are. I know I'm third time married and learned a lot in my first 2 marriages. Now super, super happily married in my 3rd marriage. But because I've actually realized you can't marry somebody because you love them for this reason and then want to change everything about them to fit what you want from them, right?
Right.
Which I tried to do a couple of times. Didn't work so well.
I've heard it doesn't work.
No. And so, it's been a real sort of revelation, just kind of go, actually, we are humans. We're all a little bit different, but this time around, it's eyes wide open, not trying to change anything, just being completely loving of the person I'm with. And it makes such a huge difference.
It does. That does. It makes such a huge difference. And I think too, when you get married, a lot of times people will say, well, it's 50-50. Or both of you have to give 100%, or 110. Not that exists, but people will use that, whatever. And they try to quantify love. They try to put a number on love. And the reality is love is on you only. No matter what somebody else does, your amount of love, your living love is up to you. That's what you're responsible for. So no matter what your spouse does, no matter what your coworker does, no matter what your boss does, you still love them. You give the same amount of love no matter what, without expecting anything in return. That's a beautiful thing about love, is you have zero expectations, so you're never disappointed. You're not wondering, well, shoot, I brought them a casserole, where's mine, right? And so you're not thinking of things like that. Or I did this for them at work and, now shoot, they went out to lunch with them and didn't even invite me, or, things like that. But you love because you love, not because you're looking for something in return. So if you love, expecting love back from your spouse, from your husband, from whoever, then you're loving to get something in return. And that's not love. It has no expectations of getting anything in return. Just love, just love.
I love it. That's a bit corny, but I love it. So you've written a couple of books, haven't you? Would you like to tell me a little bit about, so I can see one in the background there, Love Is. And what was the second one?
Yes, the other one it's called Cry Until You Laugh.
Oh, Cry, yes.
Yes, and I started writing right after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because I went to a bookstore and everything was either very depressing or very medical. And I wanted to know, well, what is it like to go through breast cancer? Are there choices I need to make? Are there, doctors that I need to see that I don't know about? What does it feel like? What am I going to feel like? What is it going to be? And so I started writing as a way to update family and friends. Hey, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow, instead of calling everybody. And it turned into much more than an update. And so I wrote what I was going through. And then I was still writing when my husband was diagnosed, and I was still writing when he passed away. And I continued writing for a little over a year. And that is what Cry Until You Laugh is, because I really believe that's what you need to do. I mean, we need to cry, but we need to laugh again as well. And there's no disrespect in that, right? And
So,
then my second,
so I was
sorry,
going to ask, so some people, I always get told by my friends, you're so strong, you always get through this. And I think, yeah, you see the persona that I put on. Whereas actually, in fact, when I'm at home, I had a big old cry last night about Dad passing away, and I was getting really emotional about it. And then eventually, we can turn ourselves around and we can laugh about it. But a lot of people don't want to show that because they feel it's a sign of weakness. So what would you say to people about crying?
Yeah, cry. Oh my word, we have to cry.
Yeah.
And everybody has permission to cry. Like we have bad days. We lose people. I mean, my word, if you don't cry when you lose somebody you love, when are you going to cry?
Yeah.
I mean, that loss is heavy and hard. It's so difficult. And you can be in a fog for a while. Like you don't necessarily just the next day go, oh, well, the funeral's over, so now I'm okay. No, I mean, your whole life has changed.
Yeah.
And so the sadness is there and the sadness remains. But I think what can happen is people can get stuck in the sadness, get stuck in the mourning.
Yeah.
And feel like they're disrespectful if they have fun again.
Yeah.
Or if they, laugh with people or whatever, and not just focus on that person that they lost and just focus on their memory of them and whatever. It's okay to laugh again. It's okay to live. All of that stuff is okay. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Cry. It's healing. Crying is healing.
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah, I agree. And it's, and you have so many mixed emotions that when somebody passes away, you do. I mean, I've gone through, real deep sadness, and then I have gone off. I had some fun with my friends, and I felt guilty for going off and having fun with my friends, and then I've gone off and done some shopping, and then gone, what am I doing out shopping? I should be, sort of mourning, and so there was just all these waves of emotions that come over. But yeah, okay, so that's Cry Until You Laugh, and then the Love Is book. What's that one about? Obviously, love.
So I, went on this journey to learn the true meaning of love. And so each chapter I start out with what I think the word of the month is, what I think patience is. And then I tell the story of what happens in Haiti. Most of the time I was in Haiti when I was writing this and living this journey. And I tell the story of what happened that brought me to the realization of what that word really is, what love. Because when you put love is or love is not in front of anything, it changes the meaning of the word. It's no longer what's in the dictionary.
Yeah.
And so figuring out that meaning seemed like it'd be so simple. And maybe for somebody else, it might have been easier and faster, but it took a while. It took some time. I mean, I really had to work on it. And so my book is called Love Is, and it's available everywhere. And so
it's got those 14 words in there about love is and love is not, and then how you actually found out what the real meaning of that is.
Exactly.
Sounds great. Now I'm going to ask you a little bit about your business, because you said right at the beginning you're an entrepreneur of a not-for-profit. What is your not-for-profit? What is it that you do?
Well, those are two things that I do. I'm an entrepreneur and I run a nonprofit.
Okay.
So as a nonprofit, the organization that I run is a partnering organization. We work with people in their own country who have a passion, a mission, a vision to help people in their own country, and they just need somebody to walk alongside. And they understand the culture, they understand the language, and they understand the real need. It can be so easy to think we know their answers, we know what they need. And sometimes we're wrong, but people maybe they need a business plan. They need a way always to lead towards self-sustainability, so they're not always chasing dollars. But it's awfully hard to have a school with no pencils and no desks, right?
Yeah.
And so that might be their need, if that's what their passion is, to start a school. In so many countries, there's not near enough schools for all the kids that are there. So schools, medical clinics are mostly what we're involved in water projects. We partner with a lot of people. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And all with a real purpose or passion for making a difference, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we all should. I mean,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Completely agree. Okay, so in terms of bringing love into business, because this is one of the things I've got in my office upstairs, I've got this sort of great big sign. I actually painted myself. I went on a painting weekend. I'd never painted in my life, and I painted a big pair of angel wings, and then you were asked to put a word on it, and the word that just came to you was love. So it's got this big love with the big angel wings there, and I proudly put it in my office because it's my painting, and I kind of quite, I was quite proud of it. But also, it's love is everything, right? Without love, there is nothing. But in terms of bringing into business, people kind of go, oh, we can't have that sort of fluffy stuff in business. What does that really mean? So how would you describe love in business?
Well, love brings authenticity.
Mm.
And if you think about yourself and who you want to do business with, you want to do business with people who you really believe care about you,
yeah.
who you believe have your best interest in mind. And that comes down to it's people that love you.
Yeah.
And because when you love somebody, you're going to have their best interest in mind. You're going to help them in whatever way they need help. You're going to want to partner with people and care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel cared about, it changes a lot of things. So when I come down to, oh gosh, should I buy from this company or should I buy from this company? Well, love is always going to win. Love will always win. So, and it's the same with coworkers. There are times everybody's probably worked with somebody that just drove them batty, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think everybody's had that experience. But if you come from a whole different angle and you come from an angle of love and realize, you're not going home with that person. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know their upbringing, their whole story of their upbringing and what they've been through. And every day that we live leads us to where we are today and who we are today, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't know what that other person's been through, and there can be a whole lot of reasons that somebody's driving you crazy.
Yeah.
But if you stop and you start loving the person and you make the effort and you really think about it and you really do it, not just say it, but you really do it, the relationship will change.
Yeah.
The relationship will change. It's interesting because I did that with my husband. Early in our marriage, he was driving me crazy. And I had little kids and I felt like I was doing all the work. He'd go to work, he'd come home and he'd lay on the couch, and I'm doing all the laundry, I'm making dinner, I'm doing it all. And I thought, well, I could do all this without him. What do I need him for? He's not doing anything. But I made the decision that I was going to do everything I could to make him happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to do. No matter what, no matter if he ever responded, never responded, I didn't put a time limit on it. I'm doing it for 3 months. If he doesn't change, I'm out of here. Yeah. I just decided I want a happy marriage. Yeah. And so I want a happy husband. So I'm going to do everything I can. So I'd go to the grocery store and pick up his favorite candy or dessert, and yeah. I'd make his favorite meals. I'd write a little note in the morning, just anything I could do to make him happy. Anything I could do to make him happy. And he did change. Yeah. He did change. But the reality is I changed. Mm-hmm. I changed because my heart changed. Yes. When I dove into love and I put on a blanket of love and wore it and lived it, yeah. I changed. That changed me. It changed my attitude toward my husband. Mm-hmm. So I think he changed, but it's almost like I think he changed sort of like once a month. He got really cranky. Mm-hmm. And I knew it must be him getting cranky once a month, not me getting cranky once a month. So it's kind of like that. Yeah. But our marriage changed and it was wonderful. It was great. And so
it's interesting. There's a book called The Surrendered Wife, and when I heard about this book, I just did not want to read it because it's much like, well, why should the wife have to surrender? That's just absolutely ridiculous, But I got the book and I started reading it, and it was exactly this principle. It's actually not about surrendering per se. It's about just accepting, coming from a place of love and doing everything in your power to make the person you love, happy as well. And it does. It changes everything about the way that you do things. Therefore, yeah, it's actually you that changes, not necessarily the person that you're with. Yeah. Right. So the same principle applies in business though too, doesn't it? So you're saying if you've got a co-worker who's driving you up the wall, it's just about having that sort of empathy and just loving them for who they are doing whatever you can. I suppose doing whatever you can control, because the only thing you can control is yourself.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. And there are things in life, of course, that you can't control. You know, your
Yeah.
father getting cancer. You know, if you
Yeah.
could change that, you would in a heartbeat. My husband getting cancer, I'd change it in a heartbeat. But we have no control over that. But we do control ourselves, and we do control how we are to other people,
and how we feel.
How we feel. We control our level of happiness, our level of joy. We shouldn't let other people control whether or not we're having a good day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it should be on us, because that's what we have control over, and try not to let the things that maybe want to interfere with your happiness come in. Like ignore those things. Who needs them? But you don't have to be best friends with everybody. You know, that's not what love is. You don't have to invite everybody over for a potluck, or, you know, invite everybody to your picnic. You can't feed the world. I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know who can, but you don't have to be best friends with everybody. But if you love them, then you let them be who they are. Then you let them live the life that they feel led to live. You let them be who they are, even if that's not who you are and that's not who you want to be. Love them and let them be who they are. Let them be their true, authentic self, and then admire it in a way. Say, because they're unique. You know, the people that drive us crazy, they drive us crazy because they're different from us. Yes. Well, it's kind of nice we're not all the same. It'd be kind of a boring world. Yeah. So figure out there's things to really enjoy about them. And when you love them, when you put that on, when you decide this is what you're going to do and you're going to live love, man, your relationship with that person will change. It has to. It has to.
I agree. Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, look, we could talk about this subject all day long, no doubt, because it's something I'm very passionate about as well. But in terms of, you know, we like to give the listeners a few tips and tools they can take away, they can put into their life straight away. What are your kind of 3 top tips or tools that you would share with the listeners?
I would say, number 1, be authentic, be real. Don't be phony to people. People know whether or not you really care about them, whether or not you're really interested in their lives. You know, be authentic. It changes business. It changes the way you deal in life. If you just let yourself not have this different face you put on at the office, right? Yeah. But just be who you are. Live who you are, and be authentic to everybody all the time. And be forgiving. Be forgiving. My word, if people didn't forgive me for the things I did, I don't know where I'd be. I probably would have no friends, and my family would disown me. Yeah. So be forgiving, you know, let it go, and change the narrative, you know, change the narrative on the story. Don't harbor it. Don't be bitter. You know, it doesn't do you any good at all. So let it go. Let it go. I would say one of the best things people can do, as a third thing, one of the best things people can do is think about somebody that you're not in relationship with now that you used to be. Oh, yeah. Maybe you're not talking to your brother right now, or maybe there's somebody you used to work with and you used to be really close, you used to know them well, and then you haven't talked to them in so long. And think of somebody like that maybe there needs to be a healing in the relationship, or a rekindling of the relationship, or at least acknowledging that the relationship was there. Yeah. And reach out with phone call, a note, write a handwritten note, goes a long way, but reach out and you know, be the one that loves, just love them. And that's my advice.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. So in terms of, I'd love to share the books. So the books obviously is Cry Until You Laugh and Love Is, the 2 books you've written. Where can people get hold of those, Kim?
Pretty much any online bookseller. Yep. In the US, they're in some brick and mortar stores as well, Barnes and Noble, places like that. And but any online bookseller, or even your local bookstore, can order it in for you, or whatever. So it's readily available. They're readily available. Yeah. Or on my website, which is kimsorrelle.com, which is obnoxious. I'm literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world, because there's way too many letters, 2 R's, 2 E's, 2 L's. So nobody remembers KimSorrelle.com, but loveis.info also takes you to my website, loveis.info.
Info. Yep.
A little bit easier to know.
And I'll put those links in the bottom of the podcasting thing as well. And if they wanted to get in contact with you personally, is that also the best way to get hold of you?
Yes, and again, I'm the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way, so I'm very easy to find. If you type in Google, love is Kim, whatever, I'll pop up.
Wow.
And so I'm easy to find. I'm on the social networks and wherever through my website. And I love to hear from people. I love to hear from people. There are people that are using my book at their office. Yeah. And everybody has a copy. And once a month they're having a meeting and they're talking about a word a month. And it's changing the dynamics. It's changing the culture of the company. And so I love hearing stories like that. And families are doing the same. And it's just, I love hearing those stories and knowing that it's having an effect on people's lives.
Yeah, I can see that you're really passionate about it. I can feel the love, even though we're not in the same room together. I can feel the love. It's great. Hey, look, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's actually afternoon for you, isn't it?
Evening, yes.
Evening, is it? Okay, even evening. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, morning over here in New Zealand. Absolute, so much fun to talk to you. Really enjoyed the tips and things that you shared and the stories about the chickens. Will stay with me forever, so thank you for that. And I suppose on a parting note, love really is all that there is in this world, and I think that if we can just accept everybody for who they are, love them for who they are, the world's going to be a whole lot better place, and you've reminded me of that, so thank you.